Hi guys, it's Wendy with Ask The Landlady. I'm here with all the tips and tricks to help you make a profit in real estate rentals. Today's question is, Wendy, in this current market, how can I find some deals on rental properties? And I get it. It's hard to find deals on rental properties right now. So many investors are bemoaning the fact that there's just a huge lack of finding them, compared to pre-pandemic, given this current inventory of housing, high interest rates, high supply costs. The numbers just aren't working to find a good deal. You can buy property, right? Don't get me wrong, there's still property to be bought, but your margin where you can really make a profit and get a great deal is very difficult. However, there are still some real estate deals out there. And when I look back at my career over 20 some years ago, just starting out, I have ebbed and flowed. I've been through the housing crisis, been through all sorts of things. And when I look at all my investments, right, because there's, they all vary in deals. They're always going to be a good deal or I'm not going to buy it, right? But there's deals and there's deals, like great deals, right? And when I look at my overarching trend through all those investments, I find that my best deals were made outside of the usual real estate arena, right? Wasn't finding them on Zillow, wasn't finding them through open houses with real estate agents. Instead, I found the properties that I admired or I wanted to own, and then I set out to find an owner and craft a good deal. That's been my best way of doing it. Alternatively, also somebody wanting to sell and somebody coming to me and me being able to craft a great deal with them to do maybe a land contract or some other advantageous deal for me through those types of avenues. So it's not through looking at listings on Zillow, going to open houses, looking at places with real estate agents has not been the typical way to make a great deal for me in over time. So for example, the first duplex I ever bought was a distressed property that I had heard was going into foreclosure, that the owner was having some health issues and needed to get rid of this. So we called her up, looked at it, and snapped it up as a short sale, which was, the thing is we were able to move fast right when she needed it. She had gotten cancer. It was a very sad story and gotten kind of desperate, and I was able to come in and bridge that gap for her. So that's what I did. I kind of then hit the little short sale foreclosure market and kind of did that. And then when I found out that duplexes and triplexes were my jam, definitely where I was making some money, then I looked for other ones around and cold called the owners, right? Simply left them a no or called them up and said, I admire this property. You're thinking about selling. A lot of times they said no. But then sometimes they said maybe. And then sometimes no. But then 2 years later, yes, because something has happened and they want to get some cash and go do something else. Maybe they want to buy a new car. They had a kid going to college. They might come back to you. So cold calling became kind of a win-win situation for me. And if you like that idea, but you're like, I'm nervous about doing the cold call, one good idea is to find a real estate agent friend, somebody that you can give them a commission from the sale, that you can even pay them some sort of fee to make that introduction for you. If it's a great deal, you can afford to pay a professional in the process that will keep you out of it. Also might make the deal more viable, because a lot of times somebody shows up on your doorstep and says, I want to buy your house. You're like, nah, I don't know. I don't trust you. A real estate agent comes by, there's some immediate trust. So that might be one way to find a great deal, is to enlist some help there that you're willing to pay. So that's kind of how I did, my little duplexes, triplexes. And when I decided that I wanted to go big, I wanted to go multi-family market, I found some properties in my area that I knew were winners, that I knew would rent well. I could see that their occupancy seemed high. They didn't have a lot of for rent signs because they were obviously staying full. And I did a search to find out the owners. And often it's hard to find them because they're hiding behind S corporations or land trusts or LLCs. What I did is started hitting up the Chamber of Commerce dinners, right? And talking to everybody. Do you know who owns this? Do you know who owns this complex? And find out how you do it. So then once you find that owner, the next thing you have to identify is a need. You find out from that owner what he or she needs to make a deal happen. If you hit it right, you find an owner that is sick and tired of being a landlord and wants out. Or you find a landlord who has kids, but he's older, having some health issues, kids not interested, wants out. Or you find a real estate investor that simply wants to do a new endeavor. I bought a triplex once from a guy who said, you know what, I'm tired of this. I want to do car washes. That's where it's at, Wendy. So I was able to make a deal where he got some cash to go do his car washes, and I could own the triplex. So I found out all these types of sellers when I started looking for deals. Were any of these deals on the internet? No. Were any of these deals falling in my lap? No. Did I hustle? Yeah, I hustled, but it really wasn't that hard. It just meant I found some things in a market that I already knew and understood is where I live. And I went out and identified properties that I knew would rent. And so once you kind of have that knowledge and you find out who the owner is, then you can go to that next level of just simply talking to the owner and finding out what he or she needs to make a deal. And it might be a matter of, there's never a deal to be made. I'm a holder. I'm going to keep this forever and give it to my kids. Great. Or it might be I'm not interested now, but maybe in the future. And I've had those people come back to me. So that's definitely something that can happen. I mean, I've had people just say, nope, click. And I've had people say, maybe. And I've had people say, tell me more. So that's how I have found my great deal. So tell me about it in the comments. Have you had a great deal, and how did you find your great deal? Maybe you did find it from Zillow. Maybe you did find it through a real estate agent. This is just what has worked for me, which is going out, finding the property, finding the owner, then finding out what the owner needed to craft my great deal. So you want to know more about making deals? Check out my book, Lessons from the Landlady. I tell you all exactly how to go out to that seller, and they might not even be a seller yet. They don't even know they want to be a seller, but giving them and negotiating a deal to make the property happen. So check that out. Hit subscribe, hit the comments, like me because I like you, and I hope you are killing it out there on the rental market. Thanks. Have a great day.